All right, chat. With free agency, developing and everything with the Broncos, with a bunch of teams, we're gonna react to Matthew again. I saw one of his NBA videos, but I figured since free agency is more popular, we're gonna react to a free agency video. So this dropped about 15 hours of recording. This is 7 a.m. Some crazy free agent thing could happen today, or a trade could happen, but this is, as of right now, the most updated analysis we have. So we're gonna go over it and see like where I disagree with him and things like that. It's kind of similar to the last video. Make sure to follow the Twitch, StoryofMike with 2 eyes, sub to the channel if you want, and let's get into it.
So we have pretty much seen most of the big free agents sign with their new teams or re-signing in general. So what I want to do is rank every NFL team's 2026 free agency period. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? And
so he has A+, mostly smart moves, risky spending, couldn't really do much. And what are they doing?
Still some good free agents out there like Kirk Cousins and Juwan Jennings. But honestly, if they were like really good, they would have been signed already. So yes, some of these teams which is why we're could change over the next few weeks. But it does feel like a lot of the big dominoes have already fallen, and most of the guys out there still like Tyreek Hill or Jerry Sneed. Maybe they're past their prime a little bit. So I have 5 different tiers that we're going to drop them into. A+, mostly smart moves, risky spending. So like you're spending money on good players. It could really go your way, maybe like the Patriots last offseason, or it can not go your way, maybe like the Raiders 2 years ago. Couldn't really do much, so that's not really a bad spot to be in. Like a lot of good teams are going to fall in that tier because they already have a good roster right now, and they probably have an expensive roster. And then we have the what are they doing tier, which is definitely like, not a big fan of this right now, what they have done throughout the offseason. So before we get back in, pick up Travis Etienne. Now, we don't really know fully what's going to go on with Alvin Kamara going forward. I mean, you're committing $47 million to a running back. Makes me think Kamara might not be on this team. Who knows by the start of the season?
I like the one too.
I really like that pickup. And then they kind of got some like role players to fit in on their roster. I think it was mostly smart moves.
I like that.
I really think the Saints had the best offseason, but I do feel like they were operating better than maybe what I thought I could give them credit for going in. ETN, will see if it's smart to pay all that money. Maybe they also thought that like there's no chance Jeremiah Love is falling to the 9th overall pick. I really like the David Edwards pickup and the Caden Ellis pickup because Edwards is going to help ETN and some of the playmakers, and obviously Tyler Shuck, who they hope is their franchise quarterback, and Caden Ellis is going to fill the loss of Demario Davis, who ended up signing with the Jets. Because you can also see they lost Alontae Taylor, Foster Moreau, but they're fine with Juwan Johnson. Taylor got a lot of money from the Titans. So
I like the Saints. I think the Saints win this year. I think they win the NFC South.
The Dolphins.
I
mean, it's either like what are they doing or couldn't really do much, because this team honestly can't really do too much right now with how much dead cap they have on Tyreek Hill.
They get Malik Willis. They get Malik Willis and then like trade Jalen Waddle to us. They get some good draft capital though out of it.
After trading him into
but like Tutu being your number one receiver is scary.
They cut what was going to be a top target for him in Tyreek Hill. They trade Jalen Waddle. Who knows, at this point they may trade Devon Achane instead of giving him an extension, and they really didn't do too much. But honestly, you're looking at all these one-year deals worth $1.4 million, $1.2 million. Not all of them are fully guaranteed. Would you be better off? I know they needed to replace a lot, like offensively and definitely in that secondary. And you could see all the different corners they added: Darrell Baker, Marco Wilson, Alex Austin, AJ Green. Like, not well-known names, but they just had to get bodies out there because it was arguably the worst secondary, or up there with one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. You could either drop them in like, what are they doing?
I would say couldn't really do much.
We're getting the sequel of Tank for Tua in the 2019 season for the 2020 draft. 2026 season is going to be Tank for Arch, or whoever emerges as the clear QB1 next year.
Tank for Arch.
I guess I know what they're doing, and you could definitely say like they can't really do much. I'm just not like the biggest fan of it going forward, and it does feel like they're punting on next year's season.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Inheriting, like, this isn't on John Eric Sullivan. Like, they are inheriting a mid-roster. They're inheriting a overpaid quarterback that they had to cut, and which was going to take a massive pay cut, and they realized, or a massive cap hit, and they realized it was going to be a sunk cost. And I guess I'm glad they just got out of it rather than just having this sunk cost on their roster. So maybe I'm actually going to be a little bit more. Maybe I'll be more generous to Miami because they couldn't really
couldn't really do much.
Baltimore. I mean, this is a team, because you look at who they ended up losing here in free
they lost,
agency.
Tyler. Isaiah Likely.
$27 million. They lose Likely. They do have Mark Andrews. They lose Draymond Jones, Charlie Kohler, who's a big part of like their blocking scheme. Keaton Mitchell, now that he's healthy again, hopefully he could kind of bounce back to what he was as a breakout player a couple years ago. Gilman and Washington are some losses.
But who did they sign? You see what they signed.
Deadline, they pick up Trey Hendrickson. We all know how that went down, and you can take like I don't know, feelings out of it. Like, it's a smart move. Is it a little bit of a scummy move to back out?
Very scummy move.
Like, okay, we can keep our 2 first, and we can get Hendrickson, who's maybe just as good as Max Crosby, if not better. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So I get it. I would do the same if you didn't really care about the backlash. So that was a smart decision. Johnson,
and then teams forget, like when the Ravens call their number, they'll go for. He puts them in risky spending. I agree.
Tucker.
That's fair.
I mean, I think it's like risky. Is it Rick? I don't really know. Like for Baltimore, is it mostly smart moves because they did lose a lot?
But like, I think it's mostly smart moves just because of the Max Crosby.
I can make a new tier for them, and I'm going to drop them into the some good, some questionable. I feel like I always do this where I add a tier throughout this, and I feel like that could make sense. Where I'm like 50-50 indifferent on if the Ravens got better this offseason. I mean, they needed a premier edge rusher, and they got one. They just had a lot of notable departures, and maybe moving on from your head coach doesn't help a lot. Cincinnati, I think like mostly smart moves from them. I do think the Bengals actually had a pretty good free agency period where they needed to address defense and secondary, and they get Boye Mafe, Brian Cook, and Jonathan Allen. They end up losing guys like, well, Trey Hendrickson's going to be a big loss. So it's not like Hendrickson gave them a lot last year because he was banged up, and they lose Joseph Asai, Noah Fant, Geno Stone. Like they do lose a decent amount of talent, but I do like
Taylor Britt as well.
Could be better than Geno Stone, Jonathan Allen. I don't know, like Vikings fans were ready to move on from him, and he and like Hargrave were not great last year, but I'm a big fan of the Boye Mafe pickup. They also really couldn't do too much either with their cap hits to like Higgins, Chase, Joe Burrow. I'm going to say mostly, is it risky? You know what? I might go risky spending.
I would just say, risky.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go risky spending because like what if Brian Cook's a downgrade? What if Boye Mafe's a downgrade? Jonathan Allen, like you might cut bait with him after 1 year. So I think it's a little bit risky. Risky spending doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just like it could go wrong.
It could go wrong. It could go right.
Denver. I mean,
Put us in what are we doing?
Put us in what are we doing? What are they doing? Some good, some questionable. I would say like
no. Put us in what are we doing? Because other than Waddle, what were we doing?
Not signing anybody else and only re-signing your guys is questionable. And they went out and they gave J.K. Dobbins like $8 million guaranteed this year. When
happy for Dobbins is a great... happy for Dobbins, happy for LeJordan, happy for McLaughlin. I am very upset about Singleton and
running back or a really
no offense to Singleton.
How often has he had a full season? It's been a minute. So
he'll be good. I believe in it.
They bring back Alex Singleton. They end up losing Dre Greenwald. They cut him. They weren't going to be able to pay John Franklin Myers. So honestly, if we're looking at like free agency, I still think it's what are you doing? Because I do appreciate the Jalen Waddle trade, and maybe they go out and do something
I'm not
different.
counting that. Don't count it.
But I feel like you got to be a little bit, I don't know, underwhelmed with Denver's offseason so far. For the Giants, I mean, like, so they get a new coach, they get new coordinators. Joe Shane is still here, and the Giants end up losing Wan'Dale Robinson, Cordell Flott, Bellinger, and some other like minor pieces. But they were.
But they get so many people. Like Calvin Austin, Evan Neal,
Washington if he's healthy. Calvin
Greg Newsome,
like, why not?
Ricard.
Greg Newsome for $8 million. Why not?
I like the Giants.
They brought
I like the Giants.
I mean, Evan Neal for not even guaranteed money is crazy, and Darnell Mooney. I actually think the Giants had a pretty good free agency. Yeah, I'm going to throw them in mostly smart moves because likely is an upgrade over Bellinger.
For sure.
You got paid by the Titans. Well, a lot of Brian Dable connections. It's funny to see like the Titans logo on so many of those, but it makes sense. Tremaine Edmonds, probably an upgrade over Bobby Okereke next year. We'll see. They clearly value Luminor on the opposite side of Andrew Thomas, and then you have Isaiah Likely. And great. I like this. They add to the secondary.
I really like their McFadden too.
Like receiver or
Hodgins
in the draft. Honestly,
I like some pickups.
I don't think I'm going to play.
They're building around Jackson. They're building around Jackson.
Minnesota. This was not going to be a good one, and then they end up landing Kyler Murray on the minimum. Now, obviously, Kyler Murray is not going to get a max deal because he's getting paid basically the maximum amount of money or close to it from the Arizona Cardinals. They bring back Carson Wentz.
James Pierce is a good pickup.
$4.2 million. I don't love James Pierre as a Steelers fan and watching him a ton as like a CB1 for you, but I think he could be a middle of the road CB2, and that's probably how
that's how they saw it.
Him. They cut bait on Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Allen goes to Cincy, Hargrave goes to the Packers. Lose Jalen Naylor, they weren't going to really pay him notable money just because they have Jefferson and Addison, and they have still some free agents out there
on
the open market. They do have a new GM or decision maker because they fired Quessy, excuse me. It's not really risky spending, and they couldn't really do a whole lot because they do have a lot of money tied up to other players on the roster. I could honestly give you an A+ because getting Kyler Murray for the minimum is the best deal out there because
Kyler's gonna have a breakout.
The minimum, like that is phenomenal. Maybe they get bumped up to an A+.
Mostly smart.
They've been active. I'm going to still take in that they traded for Trent McDuffie. They pick up Jalen Watson. They do lose Kobe Durant, Tutu Atwell, Roger McCreary, who they picked up last year. I would say they address their needs for the Rams. So I will say like mostly smart moves.
Yeah,
you can
I would
honestly
agree.
give it an A+ because they needed to address the secondary and they got Watson and they ended up getting Trent McDuffie and they gave up
I'd say A+
overall pick, but still keeping it. I think it's been a good offseason for them. Yeah, I might put them at an A+. The Rams like didn't lose too much. I think I'm gonna give them like an A+ for free agency, taking into account the trades.
I agree.
For Tampa Bay, oh man, Tampa loses Mike Evans, which is a big loss. I don't really know what Jason Licht is doing, so they bring back Cade Otton, they bring in Alex Anzalone. They clearly needed a linebacker at his position. Kenneth Gainwell is going to replace Rachaad White, but for about $5 million more per year.
This is more like
sign some other 1-year
risky spending
for the defensive side of the field, like Ashawn Robinson, Miles Kilbrew, special teams
some good,
guy.
some questionable.
Tampa, what are we doing? Like, are they fine with where they are? I don't think they could really do too much.
Okay,
but
I mean,
I just can't take Tampa like seriously as a contender next year, and they could still win the NFC South. Like, the Saints will be better.
No, the Saints are winning the NFC South.
The Panthers should be better as well, but
yeah,
none of
I
those
think the
like
Bucks, are third. Yeah, I think it's
not like you're going up against
when you put it
as talented as like the
when you put it in that perspective, and you're like, yeah, the Saints are winning, and then the Panthers are probably going to be really good. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, what are the Bucks doing? You're trying to win your division, you know?
Or the Seahawks. So the Bucks can win the division next year. I just don't really love what Jason Licht has done this offseason in terms of like maximizing this window around Baker, and Mike Evans just left.
Yeah.
Detroit. So the Lions also just didn't really have a lot to work with, but they do pick up Cade
Proton,
Mays,
hope you're still here.
Huge for them. They do end up losing Alex Anzalone, Amik Robertson. I think
this is how I found out he left.
A lot of just like 1-year deal guys. They just need to address they traded away.
This is how you found out? Goodness. Well, hey, you got the news. Here's y'all signings. Hey, I like Rock as a signing. I like Pacheco as a signing a lot. I like Pacheco a lot. I like the Bridgewater signing as well.
David Montgomery, I should mention. It's really the offensive line that needs to get like reworked, and I think Cade Mays is a good pickup.
Some questionable.
They can't really do much too. Like they were so hamstring financially when you were paying Goff and you got to pay Gibbs and you're paying St. Brown and J-Mo
Bridgewater, by the way,
Aiden Hutchinson and all these guys
to have in your
they signed
room.
DJ Reed last offseason. So yeah, there's only so much you can do with what their financial situation looks like. For Cleveland, for Chicago, they end up trading away DJ Moore to the Bills. I like that a lot. They unfortunately lose Drew Dolman to retirement. Ozzie Trapilo suffered a major injury at the end of the year, and they signed mostly like 1 to 2 year deals, and they pick up Kobe Bryant on a 3-year deal because they do lose 3 different safeties in Brisker, Gardner Johnson, and Kevin Byard. They cut
Jonathan
Tremaine
Owens,
Edmonds in this defense, and like Nashawn Wright leaves, it's going to look very different. Like clearly, Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson were not happy with the way this defense looked in the playoffs. I would say I'm going to say it's
risky spending.
Like, I don't think it's risky what they did. Like, I don't mind giving Kobe Bryant like $13 million a year. I really like the trade for them, like what they got for DJ Moore, and they picked up the center from New England as well. I'm going to say it's mostly smart moves. Like, I do like the way they've handled this offseason. I wonder if they got like one more big splash in.
What do you mean, for
San Fran? I mean, clearly the Niners were upset with how like their season ended.
41-6.
And they're watching like the Rams and the Seahawks compete in the NFC title game. Like winners going to go to the Super Bowl in their home stadium. So they go out, they sign Mike Evans, they bring back Drake Greenwall. I like Christian Kirk for this team. So now that we have,
I like the Greenwall signing. The Broncos are like really stupid. He put the not an A+. Why would you want to be an A+? Y'all didn't have an A+ sign like off season. Like you should know your team didn't do as good as you wanted them to. You know what I mean?
Like Evans, Pearsall, Kirk. You know that Ayuk's not going to be there.
Maybe you think they did better. I don't know.
And they end up bringing in Lowe, like a left tackle. I mean, they lose some guys, but like nothing really too crazy. There's only so much they could do as well. But honestly, I like the pickup for Mike Evans. I think he can have like a Devontae Adams level impact from last year. I don't think it's too risky. I think it was a good, like for what they've been dealt, right? Like there's only so much this team could do financially. We'll see what Trent Williams' future looks like. But I think for everything considered, I like this offseason. They do bring back some familiar names. Maybe you wanted them to do a little bit more out there, and they're going to lose Juwan Jennings. It's just like, I don't think they're going to lose sleep over too many of these guys that are going to end up leaving. So maybe there's some good.
They got Greenlaw and freaking Villan
really do too much, but I liked it overall. Philadelphia, another team that really can't do too much. I'm not going to sit here and be like, what are you guys doing? How are you not spending money out there? Like they're paying so many different guys. They just gave Jordan Davis an extension. They might trade Jalen Carter. They might trade AJ Brown. I think Reek Woolen's a good pickup. They basically like reworked Dallas Goedert's deal. They picked up, I think, Andy Dalton in a trade. Now they lose Jalen Phillips. They get the comp pick.
What is he? What we do in the draft? Yeah, I'm excited for the draft.
I think you're fine with that at the end of the day. I don't think the Eagles could really do too much with their financial situation. Now the Raiders went out and spent. They thought they were spending.
Raiders, it's got to be A+.
Was gone. Now Max Crosby's back. They give Tyler Linderbaum, I think, a very safe free agency weapon there. $81 million.
I think Raiders.
Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Naylor. Don't know if I love that dollar amount. Eric Stokes, Connor Hayward to have a fullback for Clint Kubiak. We'll see if they end up with like a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins or something like that. Honestly, I do think the Raiders had a really good free agency. Easily. You can 100% drop them in risky spending because there's a chance a lot of these guys don't perform in their defensive system with their first-year head coach, and they're all like they got their paydays, and who knows, maybe they don't make it to year 3 of this these contracts. So like I'd be perfectly fine with that. But I'm a big fan of this because I'm also taking into account
big fan.
They got Max Crosby. I would have liked it a little bit more if they got pick 14 and a 2027 first.
But that's not on them. That's
addressing defense
on the Ravens being
scums. You get a safe offensive line option, like one of the best centers since he got drafted, and he's never hurt in Tyler Linderbaum, and it's only a 3-year deal. And I think you're definitely going to get $27 million worth this year, next year. Who knows? But like he's only 4 years into the NFL. You got a rookie quarterback. Linderbaum's going to help out. Eshin Genti as well.
Got Crosby back.
And you're also going to be able to bump Jackson Powers-Johnson back to guard. You have Colton Miller. I like this team.
I think they want the pick more than Crosby.
Class. For the Packers, another team that doesn't really like to spend too much. They go out and they trade Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
Worked out for them. I don't know if I love Javon Hargrave, but interior defensive linemen get paid. Like, it just like wasn't
Hargrave's their best signing.
I don't know if I can really say that. What else could they do? But Romeo Doubs gets $17 million from the Patriots. Malik Willis gets $22 million.
Quay Walker's gone.
Their franchise quarterback. They cut bait with Elton Jenkins, who got $12 million from the Browns. Rasheed Walker only going for $4 million.
Brock Bowers.
Do not want to bring him back for that price tag. I thought that was pretty good. I mean, I kind of want to throw them in. What are you doing? Just like expecting them to do a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like they made a big splash getting like Micah Parsons, and they weren't going to like go out and make a trade. But I would like for them to do a little bit more. I would.
I say couldn't
Maybe
really
it's
do
that. Maybe it's. I just don't love Javon Hargrave next year. I do like Washington's offseason. I think Washington had a good free agency period. Adding to the interior, or excuse me, they lose these guys, but they were able to add Odafe Owe. It's a lot. Not gonna lie, it's a lot. Chica Conquo, love the Leo Chanel pickup. Amik Robertson, love the Nick Cross.
Mariota.
Chase on like the Patriots didn't want to match that. They bring Rashad White for $2 million.
Then Quay get drafted by the Packers.
I'm cool with that. They bring back some running backs.
Packers 2022.
I'm gonna say. Mostly, I don't know. I might put them in A+. We're just looking at free agency in a vacuum. And there's always off-season winners, and then you kind of look back in a year from now and be like, I don't really know if I could say that that was a good off-season for them or a good free agency. But I think Washington kind of killed free agency, realizing they needed to get younger, more athletic, quicker, stronger,
and they got a lot better
in general.
I like this.
They still need to add another receiver. Because Deebo Samuel's gone. They need another weapon, but they do get Chica Conquo for Jaden Daniels. But I like this a lot. Their defense was old and slow last year. And I think it's the opposite. I mean,
Cardinals.
I know what they're doing. Like, I know what the Cardinals are doing, and it's going to be kind of a tank year. And they were active in free agency, but like Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett's your quarterback battle. I know you're kind of tanking in a way. You gave Tyler Algier $6 million. I think Algier could be better than some of their guys, but I would have rather.
It's like you picked up some people like to like make it not look obvious you're taking
$5 million. Why don't you just give $11 million to maybe one of the linebackers on the open market? And maybe you think you're valuing Jack Gibbons at a lower rate. Sure. Isaac Seumalo's maybe a little bit past his prime, and you got $19 million guaranteed. They're in the what are you doing for me? I thought it was very questionable their offseason. And I didn't think they should have cut Kyler Murray. I get why they did it. Maybe they get a generational quarterback in the 27 class, or excuse me, 26 class, and it looks a little bit different under Mike LaFleur.
Yeah.
I
think the Kyler cut is
for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, there also isn't too much they could do. It pisses me off.
He's going to do good in Minnesota.
Back and they're waiting. They don't get younger, which is something maybe they should have thought about. But they add Brisker and they bring back, or they bring in Brisker and Savage, Sebastian Joseph Day, Dowdle, Jamal Dean, and then Michael Pittman. They end up picking up. They do lose some free agents. They lose, I guess, there's still a lot available, which says a lot about the Steelers last year. But like, you're not going to lose sleep over any of these guys. Kenneth Gainwell was good, but I'd rather them not like
not worth it.
On him.
Not worth
and
the
then
money.
Sumalo, not for that price tag. And James Pierre, I thought that is a deal they should have brought back on. So I'm going to say
some good
for the Steelers. Like, I want to say mostly smart moves. You can let me know if I'm biased, but I do think the Steelers, like,
some good,
they handle this roster very well outside of freaking quarterback. And it's just like, they got Kyler Murray, I would have been excited. I really wonder who this team's quarterback is going to be next year. Are they going to trade for one, like a reclamation project or an Anthony Richardson or somebody like that? Or is it going to be Aaron Rodgers in the year 2026? Like, if so, they're going to get a bad offseason grade for me at the end of this. Buffalo, I mean, I see what they're doing. I don't love the value that they ended up paying on DJ Moore. I don't love the Bradley Chubb contract. We'll see if it's better than Nick Bosa probably has to be from last year. I'm going to say some good, some questionable for them. Like, I get them. Actually, I'm going to say risky spending because it is risky to go out and give a second basically for DJ Moore. It's risky to get Bradley Chubb off all those injuries, that much money. They lose David Edwards.
I don't think so. I think
I think
Bradley Chubb is
like,
good.
clearly
I think he'll be
thinks
fine.
They have this window with Josh Allen, and they do. So I appreciate them going after it. We'll see what Joe Brady looks like first year as a head coach. Atlanta, I mean, they lose Caden Ellis. They bring in a lot of different guys on 1-2-year deals, and the only 3-year deal was a punter. And they bring back Nick Folk, who's like 73 years old, I think. They lose Tyler Algier, fine. Caden Ellis is going to be a little bit of a blow for them. Darnell Mooney, whatever. But they
Cardinals, I like the Cardinals. I like it.
Actually pretty solid.
I like
it. And I think
I like the Tua signing. I think they did good.
Career, right? Am I tripping? Yeah, back in like 2019.
I think they did good with Tua.
So I like that for them. I mean, it's just a lot of 1-year deals. I want to say they can't really do too much because like a lot of money's tied up to Kirk Cousins and like Michael Penix.
Yeah,
and you
like,
have,
I think the Bucs finished last in their division.
I'm just gonna say some good, some questionable. Like Tua for the minimum, sure, he should outplay the minimum. Is he under? Yeah, 1.2 mil. Like he's definitely worth more than the minimum. Seattle can't really do much. Like they didn't really have an active free agency. They signed like
Seattle
Wilson. They brought back some of their guys like
Super Bowl champions. It's like you're trying to avoid the Eagles thing. So did they do enough? You know, getting back Rashid. Did they do enough? I don't know.
I would have rather given Kenneth Walker the Rashid Shaheed money, but I'm not the one that built a Super Bowl team that was John Schneider, so I want to give him a little bit of benefit for the doubt. Clearly, he knows what he's doing. So Seattle, just financially, they have a Darnold extension coming, Witherspoon and JSN extensions coming. So I'm going to say
they're just being
they couldn't really do much. And then next up, you have the New England Patriots, who you would think have a little bit more money to work with. They cut Stephon Diggs. They traded away a center this offseason. Romeo Doubs, they gave a decent amount too. Like, will Dobbs be better than Diggs next year? Maybe. But you give him $39 million guaranteed. I love the Elijah Vera Tucker pickup. I think Jeremiah Jones could be better than Quavon Chasen was for them last year. Kevin Byard was like a top 10-ish safety last year, but could he maybe take a step back potentially, like just getting up there in age? They paid a lot for like Julian Hill and Reggie Gilman. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of like some good, some questionable on the Patriots. I'm not going to fault them because I remember doing this video last year and I was very skeptical about the Patriots 2025 like free agency frenzy where it's like, okay, Milton Williams $100 million, Diggs $63 million. They paid so many different guys last year, some good, some bad. I guess Garrett Bradbury is the guy I've been trying to say, so I want to give them and like Elliott Wolf like the benefit of the doubt, but I do think there's some questionable decisions there going forward, and we'll see if there's a big splash that they end up making, and maybe they end up getting AJ Brown, and I'm like, okay,
and it's just like, okay.
So Cleveland, another team that is just like they can't really do too much still. Well, I mean,
Cleveland had a good draft.
Sean Watson's contract, but they went out, they traded for Titus Howard, extended him. Zion Johnson, don't love that.
They just have to get a
decent amount.
Have another good draft this year
in Cleveland under Todd Monken than he was in Los Angeles when he had like Joe Walt, Rashawn Slater for a little bit by his side. Elton Jenkins they picked up. Green Bay didn't want him. Tevin Jenkins they brought back. Quincy Williams was not like he wasn't going to be back in New York. And then they ended up losing Wyatt Teller to Houston and Cam Thomas, not the Brooklyn Net, to the Atlanta Falcons.
Not too bad of a loss.
I mean, they can't really do too much. So I don't want to say like it's risky.
Even
in
the rookies, the rookie quarter or running backs. Really
I just don't think they really couldn't do too much just because Watson's contract is such a huge cap hit for them right now that it's just like, I don't like the Zion Johnson, but I don't mind getting like Titus Howard and Elton Jenkins. And at least they've invested in the offensive line. Because if they went throughout this offseason, like 1-year deals, journeymen on the offensive line, I would have been like, come on, man, their next quarterback is going to get their ass kicked. But they can't really do too much. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Houston.
Just got to look at the draft.
I mean, last offseason, they traded away their best offensive lineman in Larry Tunsil. This offseason, they traded away their best offensive lineman in Titus Howard. They pick up Wyatt Teller on the older side.
I like Braden Smith. I like a lot of these.
Injury concerns with him. Foster Moreau. They give Reed Blankenship about $8 million. I'm not the biggest fan of Reed Blankenship now. I think his weaknesses were able to be hidden in Philadelphia with a great secondary around him where you had DeJean and Mitchell and a lot of veterans that came and went throughout the years. And then maybe it's going to be the same thing when you're part of this elite secondary and elite defense in Houston. Yeah. I think it's good, some questionable. I like Braden Smith. I like Wyatt Teller. And maybe they're like, selling high on Titus Howard because they got like a 5th rounder for him. The David Montgomery trade was a little bit expensive. I don't think it's like a what are you doing? I think there are
definitely some good, some questionable.
Yeah, maybe it's risky because I think like we can say that David Montgomery, the price they paid, a little bit risky. Risky spending also could say like risky trading away Titus Howard, and then also risky to go after like Reed Blankenship and some of the older offensive linemen as well. How old is Braden Smith? He might not be as old in my head than I think he is. He is
29.
Yeah, 29 years old, so he's still under 30. Kansas City, I would say. I mean, they traded away Trent McDuffie. I'm going to say mostly smart. I really like
mostly smart.
Kenneth Walker, and you may say like, why are we giving a running back $15 million or $14 million? Like,
K9, it makes sense. You get back Travis Kelce, but that's pretty much it. Like everybody else is
it's not
like
great
when
you're looking at the value of the position. But like, have we been watching the running backs over in Kansas City the last few years? They just traded for Justin Fields. They sold high on Trent McDuffie, who got $30 million a year from the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe I don't know. I kind of like it. I think maybe it's risky.
Very risky, but it's good.
Some good, some questionable. Like Kenneth Walker, good. Trading McDuffie for a first, probably good. They brought back Kelce.
Yeah.
The defensive line is not great. Maybe it's some good, some questionable for the Chiefs as well. Because who knows? Maybe Walker just doesn't work out. He's had some injury concerns in his career, and I hope he's healthy. They had Gilman and Tonga. They, like I said, bring back Kelce. Trade for Justin Fields. It's kind of risky, but I know the Jets, I think, paid most of the contract down. So I'll say risky spending for them. Or, I mean, it's not really too much of a difference between these tiers. I think it's probably less risky because what's the guaranteed money? It is 28 on Kenneth Walker.
That's
Dallas,
good. No,
I'm
you
sorry,
get
Cowboys
28,
fans, but I got to say, like, what are we doing? So
Cowboys,
they don't go after Max
PJ
Crosby.
Locke. I like
don't
that
go after Trey Hendrickson.
I wish
they
we
clearly could afford those guys because they offered Max Crosby a trade. So they had the money out there. They have Quinnen Williams. They basically dumped Osa Odigizua, who I should have probably mentioned for the 49ers. That's on me. So low-key, maybe I'm going to say it's a little bit risky spending. Or maybe... I mean, they can't really do much, but you had Mike Evans, you had Osa Odigizua. Yeah, maybe risky spending, I would say, just because Osa was making a lot of money. I should have mentioned that earlier. I apologize. And Mike Evans, just because of his age, is a little bit risky coming off some injuries. But I was talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, yeah, you ended up losing nothing too crazy, at all, because there was not a lot of good talent.
And you got a better safety
Thompson from the Cardinals, and then a lot of one-year deals out there. I just think it's what are you doing? We're trying to maximize this window around Dak Prescott, CD Lamb.
I agree.
Javonte Williams. They tagged George Pickens. I hope Jerry Jones does not have this become a storyline late in the offseason. Their secondary needs to get better, but they do add at least Durant and Locke. For the Chargers, I like it. It's not the flashiest signings now. I know everyone's going to be like, okay, like they're playing the comp pick game because a lot of these
they got linemen. That's what they needed. They got linemen. Trey Lance is a good person having the QB room. They got Tony Jefferson back for $2 million. I thought if we got Tony Jefferson for $2 million, I would have been really happy, especially since we lost PJ Locke. Would have really liked that.
Non-tendered, so they will
really
not
safe.
Lose any comp picks potentially in the 2027 draft. And you get guys that fit Mike McDaniel's system. Like I think Keaton Mitchell is going to be a beast for them with Marion Hampton next year. Charlie Kohler is going to be a great add. They add to the interior offensive line. Like Tyler and Cole should be better than like Becton and Zion Johnson were last year. So I think it's mostly smart moves for them. They're not like the flashiest, the sexiest moves. Mostly smart moves. For the Jets, I mean, the Jets also we kind of know their plan next year. They trade for Geno Smith. They do spend a decent amount here in free agency, but nothing super long-term out of Joseph Asai and Demario Davis. They can get out of that at the end of this year. Not bringing back Vera Tucker shocked me a little bit, but maybe they're just like, he's always hurt. John Simpson, they lose as well, which I think is going to be
they'll probably just draft somebody.
Loss. I mean, maybe some good, some questionable, right? Like I think the Jets getting like Asai, high upside, Nashawn Wright for $3.5 million. Like I love that. Okorafor, why not? Like a little bit of a journeyman now, like former Steeler, take him for 1 year, and you end up losing. It's fine. I think Vera Tucker could come back to bite you. Might look smart. Quincy Williams, it was time to move on. Nick Folk, and then John Simpson, maybe he's a questionable leave as well. And you trade away Justin Fields, something, but you traded for Geno Smith, also something. Carolina, I mean, they're probably the definition of risky spending just because of the Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd contracts. But like Rasheed Walker for $4 million a year, that is so valuable. I feel like there was a chance he was going to get like Dan Moore's contract from last offseason. The Cade Mays departure will hurt a little bit. Did they add a running back? They added AJ Dillon. Yeah, like yesterday. They lose Rico Dowdle. I want to say it's mostly smart still. I mean, maybe it's risky. Which isn't a bad thing. Just
risky because they need to be
so
win the division.
I'm a little scared by it, but like I love the Devin Lloyd pickup. I love the Rasheed Walker pickup. I do hate the Cade Mays departure, and maybe Rico Dowdle is a little bit better than Chuba Hubbard. Tennessee, I mean, this is probably the definition of risky spending. It could work out, but I've seen them spend big time money on Jerry Sneed and Calvin Ridley, and it hasn't worked out. Like, let's look at their 2025 period. Dan Moore, I think they would like to have that one back. They gave a lot of one-year deals out here. They had to trade away a lot of these guys going forward, like Tyler Lockett. 2024, Ridley gone. They had to cut Cushenberry. Yeah. Tony Pollard, like, he was fine for them. I just think like they've made some bad moves over the last few years. I would say like a lot of these moves could work out. Like Cordell Flott could be a great pickup. I thought 19 mil for Alontae Taylor was a little much, but if he could turn into a CB1, great. I like the John Franklin Myers pickup. Wan'Dale Robinson, a little bit rich, but only 38 million guaranteed.
I like the slide.
The definition of risky spending. For the Indianapolis Colts, I mean, you lose Braden Smith. Jets fans were ready to drive Michael Pierce to Indy. That's how bad they thought he was last year. Mo Alley Cox is back, all right in the world. Arden Key. They gave Alec Pierce $114 million. They basically tagged and extended Daniel Jones. They lose Nick Cross and Kwity Paye. Like, that's not nothing. I think it's what are you doing? I'm not a big fan of their free agency period. I'm just not. Like, Daniel Jones, $50 million, Kyler Murray $1 million. Who knows if Kyler Murray would have actually signed with you? But, like, did Daniel Jones have that much leverage on you? I know it's not like a 5-year deal. It's only a 2-year deal. There's a lot of risk to what they're doing, and this might be the last year of Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, they just, like, Gladstone and Liam Cohen, like, now 2 free agencies. Last year's was kind of weird when they went and gave, like, De'Ami Brown, what did they give him, like, $11 million, $10 million?
Jags got complacent, I feel.
They were a little bit more active last year. Now, they're not scared to make a big trade a la Travis Hunter. They don't have a first-round pick. They made the Greg Newsome Campbell trade, and then they signed Chris Rodriguez, sorry. Just like, sure, because they lost Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Kind of want to say, what are they doing?
Couldn't really do
Devin Lloyd. I think it's like a what are you doing? Like, I want to see Jacksonville get better. They were so good last year. They lost to Buffalo in the wild card weekend. I think there's a chance that they could end up moving up going forward. So maybe like I don't think Green Bay belongs in here. Packers fans, you can let me know. So I might bump up Green Bay.
Yeah.
I might bump up Denver.
No.
And I might bump up Tampa Bay. Yeah.
But it's back in what are you doing?
I think they could do a little bit more than these teams, but I just think there was some good, some bad.
Just the Waddle.
Like
I guess the Waddle gives us value right
Kenneth Gainwell should be a good addition. They lose Mike Evans though. They bring in Alex Anzalone, good pickup. Broncos bringing in Jalen Waddle, good. Yeah. Not signing anybody else, kind of bad for the Packers. I mean, they let some guys walk. They got like an early day 3 pick for Rashawn Gary. That was good. So that is me ranking every team's free agency.
Okay.
If you did enjoy, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know.
Fairs. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, yeah. Fairs. But yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with most of it. Put Broncos back in what are we doing? Because even though we got Waddle, that was pretty much the only good thing. But yeah, make sure to follow Twitch, StoryofMike with 2 eyes. And yeah, sub to this channel right here. Just go ahead, click it. Like, I think the end screen is right there. Like, just click it, you know. Peace.